DJI Mavic 4 Pro. Leaks continue. Got that coming up next. Bill the Drone Reviewer here. Like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The other night, I hosted Rotor Talk Live and was joined by Mr. Ron Braun. We spent the better part of the evening discussing all the latest regarding the new leaks regarding the DJI Mavic 4 Pro. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. This is a good segue into the Mavic 4 Pro. Now, one of the first things that I saw today was, and this was an off-screen tweet, and I think I had the answer for this, but I wanted to go ahead and share this here anyway. And again, I apologize for how slow this is here. Let's see here. Okay.
We're moved the same rate of speed the Steeler offense does at times, right, Bill?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much here. Okay. And this was from Mario Tandal here, and he said Mavic 4 Pro should officially be released on June 25, 2025. And he had, of course, it's written in Chinese, but you can see the date 2025, 6/25. And then down here, it has a number of dates here with pictures. And I think this is from the FCC website. But I think on this, and I think this is a caution right here, and I think where this information comes from is what DJI does is they'll put a date out there that this information can't be released to the general public until this date, okay? In other words, it has to remain proprietary until this point in time, all right? And they extend that out, maybe a month or two beyond the actual release here. So I think this is what this information is. So if you go out there and you see this information, be very leery of this, because I think, again, this has to do with, DJI will, when they file the paperwork with the FCC, they'll put a date out there that, if everything goes well, if they haven't released it sooner, automatically on that date is when all that information, instead of becoming proprietary, gets released out there. And I'm talking like owner's manuals, other photographs, specifications, that kind of thing. Nothing that's company secrets will go out and will do that. So I wanted to get that cleared up with everybody so they knew that right away. Because this has been out there, and I've seen a couple of people repost this out here, and I want to make sure that you guys know that. So, this date out there, it's not, I'm going to say this, and this is from knowing and been out on the FCC website quite a bit in the database as well. Those dates are generated when, DJI can choose a date in the future, okay? And they choose a date in the future well past the date that they're going to release the drone. That way, that covers themselves. And, if all else fails, and they release it in June 20th or whatever, on the 25th, all that information gets out and is available to the general public. So that's what that is. I wanted people to know that right away here.
And Hai said last night that he heard that the testers will get their drones in the next week or two. They're Mavic 4.
Yeah, and it's exactly what I was hearing too. And we're going to share that article. And it's really good. I'm really pleased that I guess from what I hear last night, Hai was mentioning that Jasper's from the Netherlands as well too. So so they're both from the same country. Here's another picture. TikTok dropping loads of DJI leaks. New exclusive front view of the DJI Mavic 4 Pro here today, and a lot of empty shells found in China. For almost 2 months of waiting in silence, the wheels are beginning to turn towards the release of the Mavic 4 Pro, okay? New front view image leaked, okay? And then you can see right here, there was a video that came out here. And I think it's just more or less static here. You're not really seeing a lot with this. But
the thing is, it looks like the gentleman's using that kind of leaked RC Pro 2 controller that we saw a few months ago. He's also got goggles around his neck.
Yeah, exactly. Good point on that, Ron. It's a very good point on there. And you can see they've also released, some of the shells what, the bottom and the top are going to look like. That was released on TikTok, and here's some more views of that. And this is from Acetalab, so it's interesting that he's gotten into the mix with releasing some of these things
Hey,
on the Mavic
everybody
4
gets
Pro.
involved when it's a new Mavic, right, Bill?
Oh yeah. Well, still no official spec sheet. These Chinese FCC files confirm the existence of a 100-watt and 240-watt charger working with the Mavic 4. The Mavic 4 Pro parallel charging hub will easily charge multiple batteries at the same time, providing owners to fly an alleged 50 minutes per battery. Okay, this is huge, Ron, because they've never out of the gate, and we thought that they were going to do this, I think maybe with the Mini 4 Pro, but it turned out they were sequential chargers. This is parallel, and this is huge for DJI because I think a lot of people have been asking for something like this, and especially if you're a prosumer and more on the pro side and you're working out in the field, being able to charge all 3 batteries at once is a godsend, and having to charge them sequentially takes forever. Okay, this way in an hour and a half you can get all 3 batteries charged and you're ready to go.
Hey, Bill, of course, you and I don't have the Flip, but doesn't the Flip have that feature too? No, the Flip charges it charges as a 4 battery bay charger.
I don't know.
Batteries it charges. No, I got it, Bill. It's a 4 battery hub, but it charges 2 batteries at the same time. So you can sequentially charge 2 batteries at the same time. So it kind of has this feature. But let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question concerning this 240 watt. Do you think this charger will come in the Flymore combo, the 240 watt charging brick?
Yes, I think it'll come in the Flymore combo. And the base kit, it's not going to come in here. I don't think you're going to see that. Especially, and when you think of the base kit, I'll go back to the Mavic 3 Pro that I got last year. I got the base for $21.99. Okay. It was the drone, 1 battery, and the controller. No case, no nothing and a spare set of props, and that was it for $21.99. I had to go out on Amazon and buy extra batteries and other props and things like that.
Right.
So,
hey,
for your basic price here.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Josh in the chat says I was correct on that. How the Flip has it can charge 2 batteries at the same time.
That's good. That's very good. Very good to hear. So, this is kind of huge, Ron, and having that 240 watt charger, I mean, it's not going to take a long time, to charge these batteries up. If it's a 240 watt charger, I mean, with a 100 watt charger, it does a great job, like with the Air 3S, I think, and I'm not using it sequentially, I'm using it sequentially, but to charge 1 battery, it really doesn't take that long. It's about almost about 40 minutes to charge 1 battery for me when I use the DJI 100 watt charger. And 60 watts going to be considerably slower. But if you crank that up to 240 watts, okay, and having this instead of sequential being a parallel now, that's a whole new ball game. I mean, that's going to make such a difference out there, especially, let's say you have the DJI, Power 1000 out there with you, okay, and can be able to plug that 240 watt charger in there. Boom, okay. You're good. You're good to go. Okay. You can take a lunch break, wait for them to charge, and you're good to go. So you can get out there and start flying in the afternoon after that.
Now, that's good. That's going to be a great feature.
Here, what to expect in the coming days and weeks. My sources tell me the Mavic 4 Pro will be announced in April, but delivery is expected not earlier than May. I can't promise you anything at the time. This is just what we've all been told at the moment. Future updates and links from web shops will confirm a possible release date. Thank you for reading my articles. If you can, please share this online. It'd be greatly appreciated. Cheers, Jasper, okay, on another Mavic 4 Pro shell right here, okay? So, and that's interesting that he says that here. And I think what he's meaning is they're going to try to make sure that they get past this whole customs issue and to be able to get dealers stocked here in the United States, because, we'll go back to the original Mavic Pro, and they did not anticipate the demand for that. And you all know the rest of the story of that. Some people were waiting 3 months to get them. Okay. I didn't get mine until like January that year, and it came right away. I mean, it was like overnight, and I got it because it was in stock. But a lot of people had to wait like 3 months. So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to see if they can get around this customs issue, Ron, get them here in the United States, get them at their distribution points. So it'll be a seamless time of being able to order it and being able, within a week or so, be able to actually have it come to your door.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that the last couple of releases, that you had to order the drone and it would come directly to you from China. So you think this time they'll be able to bring it in by the pallet loads to the U.S. rather than have it travel all the way from China to the buyer's house?
Yeah, I think that's what they're aiming to do with this kind of a timeline here, and hopefully, because and I got a little bit of a clue, and I did some looking here how whenever they have individual units coming in, okay, they all get stopped, all right, through customs,
Right,
all right, the real
right,
bottleneck. But when you have them come in on a pallet like they do, all right, they just scan one barcode, okay. They don't
right.
go in and they don't pull that pallet apart. They just scan one barcode on that pallet, and then they go through, they fill out the paperwork, and it's done. And how many ever, several hundred are on that pallet are done, and they go through and they're good to go. So I think that's probably what the logic is that they're thinking in this instance, is that they're going to try to do that to be able to get them here in the United States. I think that makes a whole lot of sense, because I think a lot of people, as we noted earlier, are frustrated about the Air 3S and the Mini 4 Pro because they can't get them, or if
Right.
they're getting them, they're going to pay a real inflated price for it. And a lot of people don't want to go to the bother of creating an Amazon Canada account and getting a ship to place up in Canada and then having it shipped down here. Now, one of the things that I think somebody actually did some math and figured out pricing, because Canadian pricing is their dollars different than ours. It actually sometimes, depending on how the valuation of the dollar goes, it may be even a little bit cheaper to buy through Amazon Canada and then have it shipped down here than to buy directly, on Amazon if it were available to us here in the United States. So some of the pricing, there's a little bit of a price advantage depending upon the valuation of the dollar.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you should say that, Bill. Steve Janess, who looked up the Air 3S, he also found it on Best Buy Canada, the Air 3S Fly More combo for $2,060. So, of course, Best Buy's not a third party seller jacking things up, but I guess just with the tariffs and money conversion, it's still almost what 400, almost $500 more money than
Right.
DJI's list price or whatever to buy it at Best Buy Canada. So this still isn't good for drone buyers, especially considering what the Mavic 4 Pro prices will look like with tariffs or somebody jacking the price up. And I think it's important to let people know that we all get fired up about the Mavic 4 Pro, and a lot of people in chat here want to get it, but really, because of the price and whatever, it's really not as, when I say popular, it really is not going to sell the units that the Air 3S do or the Mavic 4 Pro do. Those drones are much bigger, movers. I'm not saying they make as much profitability for DJI, but they go faster. The Mavic 4 Pro will create a lot of profit for them, but will be a slow seller compared to their cheaper mini drones.
You're exactly that you could not be more correct, Ron, because people, and look at it, and historically it's kind of been like that all along, is when you have your Mini 4 Pro, your Air 3S, versus a Mavic 4 Pro, you're going from strictly consumer type drones to a prosumer type drone, borderline, an Inspire 3 kind of a setup, which obviously gets super crazy expensive. But you're starting to approach an area where it gets, you're going from really being a hobbyist to a professional. And when you make that cross right there, you're right in terms of inventory and what sells well for DJI. I'm sure like the Neo, the Flip, those probably have done well. The mini drones have historically always done well for DJI. And the Air 3 and the Air series, they've always done well for DJI. And conversely, the Mavic 3, the Mavic 4 series, they'll sell well, but they're not going to sell as many units. And you really touched on a great point, is like the smaller drones will, simply because, number one, because of the price point, and number two, because of the feature set. Because, and I'll go back to something Marcus has said all along, like on the Mavic 3 Pro, there are going to be some features on there, like, and I'm speaking what Marcus said, that I'm not going to touch, that I'm not going to use. And, and I think some of us are like that as well, too. Same for me. There are some things that I haven't touched on the Mavic 3 Pro. I've touched on a lot, but I haven't touched on all the features on there. And I think that's something that is really more geared toward a professional videographer, Ron.
Intel Maxwell Rotors says in the chat here that the Mini 5 Pro will be more popular and sell more than the the Mavic 4 Pro will for DJI. So for I don't know, the people that for the people that really get excited over the high end, the Mavic 4 is Christmas time, but really for most people, the Mini 5 Pro is going to be the drone they're going to want this year.
And he's absolutely right, because when it's interesting, because you take a look out there, and DJI does not publish sales numbers, but I think one of the things that I've kind of gauged at through the years, most of I have a group for just about every series of DJI drones that's out there, and the one group that by far is ahead of every other group is the DJI Mini series group.
Yep.
And I mean, I think it's close to 20,000 people in that group, and with good reason, because that's the most affordable drone for DJI. And having a Mini 5 Pro with a feature set, if it's one up even on the Mini 4 Pro, wow, okay, that's like, here, take my money. All right, I think a lot of people are saying, they'll put a $500 deposit down right now, give it to me, I want it now, kind of a thing, because it's something that can appeal to everybody, versus a Mavic 4 Pro is going to be geared toward, people like us, drone reviewers, prosumer type people, people who are going to use it professionally. That's going to be a game changer for them.
The Mavic 4 Pro is kind of like when you go to the GM dealership and you walk in the showroom. Everybody stops and looks at that Corvette in the front or whatever. Oohs and ahs, the Corvette, right? But most people eventually go back in the showroom and they buy the minivan. Yeah,
it's exactly what that is. You see things out there, and you see the shiny Corvette sitting there, but then you're looking to get that pickup truck or that 4-door Malibu instead, something that's going to be practical, do the job, have air conditioning, power windows, and get you from point A to point B safely. That's what you're looking for. And it's the same kind of setup here. One of the things that I think I'm really, going to be excited about, they're talking about the camera on this, and we've seen some close-ups of it, Ron, before on the Mavic 4 Pro. I think that's going to be a real game changer. And I think being able to do the vertical video on there is going to be huge. I mean, that really kind of set, the Mini 4 Pro part, being able to do that vertical video on there. And being able
to really stop you just for a second,
Sure.
It sounds like it is, but if this is really aimed at prosumers and pros, how many pro jobs do you get that somebody wants to shoot vertical video? That's
True.
more for TikTokers and Instagrammers, and they would be the ones using the Mini or the lesser drones or whatever. A true professional's probably not getting hired for too many vertical jobs.
That's true. But to have that capability, because, and I'm going to say this, a lot of professionals even have TikTok accounts out there. And a lot of times clients may ask for something out there on TikTok. For example, a home, real estate. They want that out there on TikTok. They want that footage out there, and having that vertical video and having that ability to do that, if you're a professional, that's gonna make a world of difference. Instead of
you only have one drone. Yeah, your only drone is a Mavic 4 Pro.
Exactly. So, the camera is going to be real interesting on this as well. And I think you guys kind of touched on a little bit last night is, if you have like an Air 3S or you have a Mavic 3 Pro right now, do you need a Mavic 4 Pro? and I think the answer, as I was listening last night, I think you guys kind of agreed. No, you really don't. I think one of the things that's going to set this apart is this vertical shooting. I think the other thing that's going to set the Mavic 4 Pro apart is the degree of the rotation on that gimbal. I think you're going to have a lot of degrees of view from that gimbal.
Now that could be more something for a professional, because they may need to look up for inspections and things like that. That's more of a pro feature than the vertical video.
Yeah, I agree. That's gonna and that's gonna be very interesting to see how that pans out, and to see it work like that. And I think it'll get there. I think that's something I think people will look at.
Yeah, I mean, we had
But
that
again,
feature in the
the whole difference between looking at it in a
all the way
professional
up and down on
standpoint
the
and also.
Paradinafi, and I always forgot to use it and take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember you guys talking about that, and a lot of people made some real interesting shots, like they were flying under a bridge or something, and you got to see it, which I thought was really cool. But in practical terms, what are you going to see with something like that? Unless you're flying under something and looking underneath it, you're not really going to see a whole lot with that. I mean, it looks kind of cool, but is it really going to make a difference as far as features on a video is concerned?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good question, Josh. Okay. Resolution limited 2.7K. Yeah.
On what is it limited?
Let's see here. How many displays do you see in a vertical format to actually show the 4K vertical footage, though? Okay.
Yeah, almost none.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Most times when I look at vertical video on social media, it's 1080p.
Now that's a good point, Josh. YouTube Shorts
yeah.
That's
another
thing.
I mean, some people may consider those people pros because they're on YouTube, but I don't think of a YouTuber as a professional, really, even though the FAA does by putting you have to hit your part 1 and 7. But that's not what I think. When I think of pro, I don't necessarily think of a vertical video channel.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know YouTube recently, they've expanded their shorts, because it used to be you have to be a minute or under, and I think they've upped that, because I haven't done a short for a while, but now you can go more than a minute out there, which is very interesting to see how that's going to pan out. And I think they're trying to do that to stay competitive with TikTok and also Instagram as well too. So we'll kind of see how that pans out. But it's the Mavic Pro 1 had it, but it wasn't popular. Funny how social media can change that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Because at that point when the Mavic Pro came out, the TikTok and Instagram were a thing then.
Yep, exactly. That's a good point, Ron. So the medium for vertical shooting wasn't created yet or discovered yet, and then when it was, it made a world of difference about that. So yeah. We'll see.
I mean, my point, I'm not trying to argue anything. My point just is, okay, how many people are interested in shooting vertical videos? Oh, I'm going to go out and buy a $3,000 drone so I can shoot vertical video. Where let me meet that person.
Yeah, versus spending say $1,100, $1,200 and getting a drone that will shoot vertical video and
I think that's a judgment. I think the Air 3S can do vertical in 2.7K, which is more than enough for any of the social media sites broadcasting vertical video.
I agree.
And because that window is so small, the vertical video window, that the 2.7 may look better than 4K on a larger screen.
You're right. You're very right about something like that.
1080p looks great for looking at it on a phone. 1080p looks as good on a phone as 4K does on a 65-inch TV.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't, take into account 90% of the probably more than 90% of people watch those videos on a phone. Okay, they're not sitting in front of their laptop at home on a big screen watching it. Or having
and your 1080p vertical video on this phone looks amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no reason to look at 4K video on the phone because it already looks great
yeah,
in
it
the
looks,
screen in
yeah,
1080p.
exactly, exactly. I mean, you're all set and you're good to go as far as that's concerned. So, question of the day: what did you think of DJI Mavic 4 Pro leaks continue? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's a great day to fly.